What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your two normal hosts, Alpha Dog and JD from Line Movers, and we have our normal Monday and Friday guest, Ben from We Beat the Spread. Ben, fresh hat today. How'd you do this weekend, and how are you?
Well, it was a great weekend, at least yesterday. Saturday was actually pretty good, too. Went 6-2 college football, 10-0 yesterday on NFL. Got the sweep. Wow. That felt great. Going to hopefully try and keep that up. But as you know, you can't always be perfect in sports betting. So progressions probably do.
Absolutely. I'm telling everyone right now, I'm retweeting. You see me looking down to get in here. We Beat the Spread. Literally just went 10-0. One of the best days you can possibly have. Congratulations. Way to go. JD, how was your weekend and how are you today?
Man, I'm actually doing well. As far as Friday goes, it was good. As far as actually Saturday, it was actually really good. Then yesterday really sucked. Yesterday's games were just nuts. So the fact that actually you've been actually swept the board, that's great, man.
That's insane. These have been the craziest opening few weeks of NFL. So for you to pull off those reads, well done. We're going to need to see what you're on today, and I'm excited to dive into it. Fellas, we're about to get into the beautiful slate. We're going to break down both NFL games. We're going to do that at the end. But before we get to that, we are going to cover a couple MLB games. This show was built on MLB. We have some loyal MLB fans, and we do a great job at covering and winning the MLB on this show. So, fellas, let's dive right into our first MLB game of the slate, which is going to be the Red Sox, who are visiting Toronto, taking on the Blue Jays. Pitching for the Red Sox is Tanner Houck. Houck is coming in 8-10 with a 3.21 ERA. On the other side is Chris Bassett. He's 10-13, coming in with a 4.16 ERA. These teams recently kind of doing as you would expect. Both teams don't really have a chance to get in. They are both eliminated, and their records of the last couple of games have reflected that. The Blue Jays are coming in losers of 4 of their last 5. The Red Sox did okay in that Minnesota Twins series, but they have also gone 500 in their last 4 ball games. Ben, we're going to start with you. What do you like in this breakdown?
You know, honestly, I don't know if I like a side in this matchup. I just see two teams that aren't completely motivated. Like you said, they're not even looking that great coming down the stretch. Jays are mathematically eliminated. Red Sox are theoretically eliminated because, they would literally need to win every single game and hope the Tigers or Royals lose every single game. So they're out. They're both eliminated. Both their seasons are over. There's just a few games left. Even for the Red Sox on the road here, I just don't see motivation from either side. And actually, while Bassett doesn't have the best ERA in the world, he's done pretty good against his Red Sox lineup. And on the other side, Houck's been really good against the Jays lineup. So you can kind of tell where I'm going here. I'm going to go under 7.5. I just don't think we see motivated teams on either side really in this matchup. So I'm going to go under 7.5 here. I think we're going to see actually a pretty good pitcher duel between Bassett and Houck tonight. I
have good news for you. Well, I don't know if it's good news for you. That depends on how you think I am as a gambler. The good news is that the line is currently at 8 at -108. I am also on the under, though, so I don't know if that makes you happy or sad, but we're going to keep Ben's undefeated run going. I'm also on the under in this game. You put it perfectly. Bassett has done a great job against the Red Sox this year, and when you look at recent performances for the Blue Jays, especially 4-3 game, 3-2 game, 1-0 game, 4-0 game, 2-0 game. Their games are seeing very, very low scores right now. All of their last 5 have gone comfortably under this under, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see in this one. And like you said, Bassett's a good, better pitcher at home. He's been good at home. He has an even record, but he's done better there this year. So I do think that they are going to get this under, and I think both teams will stall at the plate. Under 8, going to leak it out early. It is a best bet for me. JD, any action from you?
You know, y'all are actually both on the actual under here. Both teams are actually trending to the under. The Red Sox are 3-6-1 their last 10. The Blue Jays are 3-7 their last 10. So everything seems to point to the under here. So I'm going to go over.
Contrarian style. We understand why.
Always get that.
You know, as far as the pitchers go, I really don't actually trust either guy. I mean, yes, both of their numbers are actually not that bad, but they're also not that good. The Red Sox, I believe, are coming off of a doubleheader yesterday. So as far as their bullpen, which has already been stretched out, their bullpen is not good. That is actually not good to start with. Blue Jays bullpen, as we've said all of I think last week, their bullpen is bad. I mean, very bad.
Yep.
The model, it actually has this at 9.3 runs. which honestly seems really high. But yeah, give me the over here.
That's not good news for me and Ben. We do all know when your model has that big variance, usually those games have flied over the total. We're hoping, though, with a little late season, both teams being eliminated, not much to play for. Ben, I think I could speak for you as well. We are hoping that they are looking forward to their Cancun trip more than they are looking forward to this baseball game. So more to come on that one. We have some great comments in the chat here. Joe, who's been here quite frequently, we appreciate you every single time you're here, Joe. Would unmotivated games mean pitchers would just try to work some random stuff? Yes and no. Pitchers cannot let their ERA balloon at the end of the year because you might not get a job next year. Everything for these pitchers is based on their ERA. These games will reflect that ERA. Pitchers normally, no matter what, will do their best to make sure they do not give up a ton of runs. Also, Joe, who's been in the comments saying, what's up, fam? He's been hedging. Cowboys were 18.5 at one point. He hit Ravens' money line and the under. I think that's 26. Plus the Cowboys for plus 18.5. So, Joe, you are killing it. Keep it rolling. And, gentlemen, that's going to be it for the first baseball game that we're breaking down. Let's move on to the second game that we are covering, which is going to be the Giants, who are visiting Arizona, taking on the D-backs. Pitching for the Giants is Hayden Birdsong. Birdsong's 4-5 with a 4.75 ERA. On the other side is Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez. He's coming in 3-3 with a 5.9 ERA. Ben, we'll start with you again. What you got?
Well, I took the under on one game, and I'm taking the over on the other because I think this is kind of, well, it's the opposite situation for the Diamondbacks, at least, because they are very much alive in it. In fact, they could use some wins here down the stretch this season. And you know what? The Giants are eliminated, and I would say they're just completely unmotivated. And then all of a sudden they go out, and it looks like they like to play spoiler because they sweep the Royals, which kind of really screw with the Royals because now they're tied. I mean, the Twins are right there. They're out of it. But the Tigers and Royals are tied. I mean, those are some important games for the Royals to get swept in that series. And the Giants look kind of motivated to just kind of piss some people off, it feels like. So maybe they're going to do the same thing here with the Diamondbacks. They are up against a pitcher who's not very good. Rodriguez has not seen a lot of action this year, but in the action we have seen him in, hasn't been very good. He had multiple back-to-back bad starts, and then he's coming off a decent start, but it was against the Rockies, and he gave up 2 earned runs in 6.1 innings. I don't know what kind of weight we can put into that against the Rockies, but I do expect that the Giants can kind of beat up on him a little bit. And then on the other side, Birdsong, he actually just pitched against this Diamondbacks team earlier in the month. In that game, he only went 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. The game ended with 10 runs. So if we can see a similar type of game here tonight, which I think we can, anytime a team is going to see a pitcher in the same month, it usually spells worse things for the pitcher, especially when they don't have elite stuff. So I tend to lean towards a lot of runs here. You can get 9 for even money, even in a few places. So I like the 9. If you have the 8.5 for juice, I don't hate that either.
I have the 9 on my book. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I don't love this game. Just going to be completely honest. We had a very limited slate of MLB games to pick from today, JD. I know you feel that way as well. So, guys, I'm not going to be pushing on this game. Ben's been on fire. He's had some good reads, so I will definitely lean with Ben's over here. But for me personally, I'm going to stick more towards the first baseball game that we broke down and the 2 football games we're about to get into. So nothing from me. JD, anything from you? And by the way, I'm saving the people my line. Y'all know what the line is. I'm saving y'all today. I'm not saying it.
Okay. Everything Ben said was actually like spot on. The over here is the only way I actually could play this game. Birdsong, like he said, he actually just faced the National Diamondbacks. In that game, he only actually gave up two runs, but it could have been a lot worse because he actually walked 5 guys.
Yep.
And I just don't like him. Just actually like start with. And then you have actually like Erod. There's another guy who I just don't like his actual stuff. I actually just don't understand he's good. As far as his stuff plus, if you actually look at that kind of says it all. That is actually down at a 75, and actually if you actually don't know about that, that's really bad. Yeah, I have the model has actually this at 10 runs. So yeah, it looks like at actually even money, you can actually play the over 9 here. So.
All right. I'll be rooting for it for you guys, both of your bets there. Quickly back to the comments. Joe, you had me cracking up in the middle of that one. That is the line I saved everyone from. If you're a loyal watcher / listener, As Joe is, you would know I say that quite frequently. Guys, big comment we have from Nick Castrucci in the comments that he's giving away a free month of VIP access this week in the Moneyball Metrics Discord. Get in there and win a free month on Nick. We appreciate you, Nick. Get in the Discord. It's free to join, guys. The best Discord out there and the best community out there. Fellas, y'all know what time it is. We just reviewed the baseball games. We got through those. We know it's a dog slate, but we got through it, and it's time to get into the meat and potatoes. Everybody wants to know what we're doing for football, especially Ben, Mr. 10-0. We have the Jaguars, so we're going into Buffalo, taking on the Bills. Tale of two teams here. 0-2 for the Jags, 2-0 for the Bills. The Bills had an extremely impressive win last week. I know that Tua was knocked out of the game, but they were extremely impressive getting it done on Thursday night. Ben, we're starting with you. What do you got?
Well, primetime games, I usually tend to go towards props because sides can be extra sharp, and I hate having to pick primetime sides. Now, luckily, we do have 2 games. Makes it not quite as tough, but I'm still going to lean towards some props here because I love playing props in primetime games. And this one is going to be one I think we get done easily. It's going to be James Cook over 16.5 receiving yards. He has hit this in both games already this season, although I will say he had 17 last week in that game. But that one was kind of a blowout. We all know how it was. They weren't necessarily using him as much as they would usually in a closer game. He only had 11 carries. He only had 1 target. Usually we're going to see more usage from him. That was just kind of the blowout. Like you said, 2-0 went out. That game kind of just ran away with it. I think we're going to see more use out of him this week, especially with them liking him as a receiver. I think more than we saw last week. He did only have that 1 target. But game 1 had 3 targets, caught all 3 for 32 receiving yards. I just don't think this line has quite inflated enough to how I think the Bills are going to use him. Because he's a good blocker. He can get out in that flat and really make some good plays. I think James Cook, I picked him up on my fantasy team because I expect him to have a big year, especially in the receiving game. I think this line just still isn't high enough. I would thought initially when this line came out, it would be in the 20s, but it didn't get there. So I still like it under that 20-yard mark. And I think that we see this one come through maybe even in the first half. He got it on 1 catch last week. So maybe it takes him only 1 catch again this week.
Yeah, for sure. And we did have a good comment here that Gabe Davis is going up against a former team. For prop guys like myself, I know that Ben's a big prop guy. I know JD dives into them as well. Question before we go into another breakdown. Do you guys take that into account when you do your props? Do you think the revenge factor going up against his old guys means anything? I personally don't, but curious if you guys do
that. Not generally. I mean, it's like, do you think the coaches are really sitting in there like, oh, you're playing your former team, we're going to give you an extra ball tonight? Like, I don't know if that's a conversation that goes on. So it's just like maybe in the players' mind themselves, they might play a little bit better. But at the end of the day, the coaches are calling the plays. And, if they get open, that's on them. But I really think, at least from a coaching standpoint, no, maybe the player gets in their mind a little bit. If they're like a running back, they just go crazy because they got that in their mind. But I would say yes and no, kind of.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. The way I look at it is this player going to be motivated to play a little harder and get in the end zone themselves to stick it to them? I don't think the coaches have any influence on that, but I do think sometimes when the players want to go at 150%, we know this early in the season, teams are not giving 150% all game. They're just not. But sometimes there are certain players that return to teams where they may have had a bad situation where they're like, I'm going to go off today and give everything I had like it's a Super Bowl game. So I do like to look at it this way. This particular one with Gabe Davis, I'm not looking at it like that. JD, before I go into mine, what do you like about this game?
This game reminds me a lot of the Jets game. We actually broke that down, and I just have this number way off. It's actually pretty much in actually the same range as that Jets game. I have the Bills favored heavily here. I actually have them by 8.3. So just like the Jets game, I didn't really want to lay that, but I did, and that worked out well. To me, the Jags are just not playing well. They have to show me something first. The Bills, they're actually coming off. They actually have like extra rest here too.
Yep.
You know what? For me, this is my favorite play / actually plays here. To me, I'm gonna go in Bills actually like all the way here. Give me the Bills in the first half -3.5. Give me the Bills actually full game and actually -5.5. Give me the Bills team total over, which is at 25.5.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to be honest. I'm the same exact boat you are. I saw this Jacksonville Jaguars team play last weekend, the Cleveland Browns, and lose 18-13. I saw the same Cleveland Browns team get smacked at home by the New York Giants. The only reason they were in that game was because of an opening fumble on the opening kickoff where they got 7 points in the first 10 seconds. They were really stymied for most of the game after that. We also saw them get absolutely obliterated by the Dallas Cowboys, who've been getting absolutely obliterated by every other team that they play. So when you look at this Browns team and how they've played this year, or the Jaguars team, how they've played this year, they have not been good, and they lost to a Browns team that's just low quality. They also lost to that Miami Dolphins team that has not looked great either. So for me, the Bills are the much better team. They really proved a lot to me last weekend in that Miami game. Their defense is what stood out to me. That defense played a phenomenal game, and if their defense plays a good game today, I do think they run away with it. Also, big injuries for the Jaguars as well. I do think Tank Bigsby's not going to be able to play. He's a true questionable, and Evan Ingram has already been ruled out. So that's a big loss on the offense. Great tight end for them. And Darnell Savage, their safety, is out until at least next week as well. So they are banged up. I love the Bills, and I'm all over them at the -5.5. Quickly over to the comments. Let's see what people are saying here because we have a lot of them. We have Diamond Dog who's in here saying, do you think it's a conversation if a top wide receiver hasn't been getting the ball? I feel like it's the same like Marvin Harrison Jr. after week 1. Kind of. Which receiver, though, are we referring to here? Let me another comment there. And the rest of the comments are Parlay Prince, who thinks that's why the Jags will win outright. They could. It's been football this year. Nothing has seemed to make sense. It's been the no make sense league this year, but I do think that the Bills are going to get it done. Their defense has shocked me and how well they've played in the first couple weeks of the season. Boys, we still have another game to go over, and that's going to be the Commanders taking on the Bengals. Commanders coming in 1-1. They are 0-1 on the road. Bengals coming in 0-2. Now, I don't like to say this early in the season that this is a must-win game for the Bengals, but is there really any other way that you can put it? This is another home game. They really can't lose to Washington in this spot. Ben, what do you like?
So, I am going with another prop here, and it's going to be on Jaden Daniels over 9.5 rushing attempts. I am going with the attempts instead of the rushing yards because he actually hit 10 carries last week, but only had 44 yards. He's sitting around 51.5 rushing yards, which I do think, even though as much as I do think he's going to run, I think there could be some shorter runs or even attempts for negative yards that don't necessarily count as sacks because sometimes we see that in the NFL. So I think there are going to be more situations where he's going to have the carries and not necessarily break off some huge runs. He could for sure, but I'm more confident going with the carries here, considering he's hit this in both games already. And I can already hear the people saying, well, they're going to be in a negative game script. You still like that, not think he's going to pass more. They were getting absolutely blown out in Tampa. He still had 16 carries. He only had 17 completions in that game. The Commanders brought him in because they know he was kind of their mobile quarterback guy. They expect him to run. They're going to let him run. That's why he was brought in here. So I really think this is a game where they let him go again, just try and take care of the ball. He got his first win last week. I understand it was against the Giants. There was kicking issues, all that kind of stuff. But I think that got a lot of confidence for him, and he still used his legs a lot. So just given that that was kind of the way that game played out, I really think we continue to see a lot of Jaden Daniels using his legs. And I expect him to have the ball a lot because the Bengals are playing one of the worst secondaries tonight. The Commanders had, I would say, if not the worst, top 2 or 3 worst secondary in the league last year. And the Bengals are getting T. Higgins back for this game. So they're going to have a healthy receiving core, which means I think they're going to score quickly, which means I think Jaden Daniels is going to have the ball a lot. So I think he's going to use his legs a lot. We know in the blowout situation, he still uses his legs from that Tampa Bay game. I think he clears double digits in rushing attempts pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think he does as well. And somebody who watched every single snap of that Commanders game last week, this offense can move the ball. They just have to figure out how to get the ball in the end zone, and that's going to lead to my play. I'm taking the over here, 46.5. I know it's a primetime game. I know they normally go under. However, these teams both have really struggled on the defensive end. When you take a look at how these teams have done this year, the Giants game versus the Commanders was a 21-18 game. The game before that was a 37-20 loss to Tampa Bay. We all saw Tampa Bay struggle yesterday. On the other side, we saw 51 points in the Bengals-Chiefs game. So these teams are both seeing a ton of points in their games, and I definitely think that is going to continue here. My favorite play on the board has to be the over 46.5. And like I said, I know it's scary because it's a primetime over, and everyone likes to say primetime games always go under. Fortunately, we got 2 of them tonight, so hopefully the other game will be the under. This one will be the over, but I definitely anticipate a ton of points in this ball game. JD, tell me something.
All right, man. I actually have something here, and I'm going to say, screw this game. Bet the Bills, and actually don't even worry about this game.
Wait, let me do the thing. Let me scroll up in the comments from Joe. Joe said it perfectly earlier. Hold on. And now, there it is. JD, as Joe said clearly, sometimes the best bet you can make in a game is no bet if it is a game you do not love. Personally, I do love this game. It is going to be a best bet. Any props for you, or is that going to be the only one? You're just sticking with the Bills game tonight?
I'm looking at T. Higgins. I'm looking at his anytime touchdown. Looks like you can get that at plus 180 currently. And for me, numbers wise, that one's off. I have that should be in the more like plus like 135 range. So I'm probably going to play that.
I like that as well, because when you look at how the Commanders have done this year, they've given up a ton of touchdowns through the air. We saw Malik Neighbors get a touchdown in the game, and Daniel Jones also threw a touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson. This is a team that does not throw the ball well, so if they were able to find 2 passing touchdowns, I think T. Higgins definitely could find the end zone tonight. We do have another comment from Joe. He's teasing the over 46 in the Bengals and the Bills money line. Joe, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Teasing totals is not the way to go about teasers. Teasing totals is usually what kills you. I would find another game to tease it with. I would just not tease a total up and down. Normally, if the game's going to go over, it's going to go over comfortably. If it goes under, it goes under comfortably. The teaser doesn't usually help it too much when it comes to a total. All right, boys, that's going to do it for our breakdowns of MLB and NFL, but you guys know we still have things we have to do. Before we dive into best bets, we are going to get into our outlier play of the day. Guys, you hear us say this on the show all the time. Outlier is the #1 place to get information on props. They tell you how they've done their last 5 games, last 10 games. You can break it down, how they've done at home, on the road. Everything you want to break down and really get all the raw data on these players. You can get it at Outlier. Check out the link posted by Moneyball Metrics on their Twitter /X/Bluebird. Whatever the hell you want to call the app now, you can find the link to download with a discount there. Check it out. Tonight's play we're going with is going to be Tyler Bass over 6.5 points. This is hit in 5 of his last 6 home games, including both games this year. So he has been an absolute animal at getting over 6.5 points. We all think the Bills are going to score a lot of points in this game, and at the end of the game, we could see a turnover and a late field goal to really get us over the total. So we absolutely love over 6.5 points by Tyler Bass as our outlier play of the day. Gentlemen, y'all know what time it is. We've given out the picks, our breakdowns, but we still have one more thing to do, and that is going to be our best bets for the day. JD, for once, you're not the hottest one on the show right now, so we're going to have you go first so Ben can close us out. JD, what do you got for best bets today?
That sounds good. Let's go back to the Bills game. Give me the Bills first half at -3.5 at actually even money. Give me the Bills -5.5 full game at -110. Then give me the Bills team total over 25.5 at -112.
Awesome. We do have a couple more comments. I see them. YM, I will get to your question on the player props right after we give the bet. We won't sign off right away. So I'll go into mine, guys. My best bets. I got 3 of them. First one from the baseball game that I doubt many people care about, but I'm on the under 8 in the Red Sox Blue Jays. I think that one's going to go comfortably under. I know Ben agrees with that one too. My 2 NFL plays, you guys know what they are. Buffalo Bills -5.5 and the over 46.5 in the Commanders Cincinnati Bengals game. Ben, we're going for what, 300 in a row? We've already started with 10. Let's get closer. What do you got?
I have 3. I have 1 in MLB, which we did not cover. That's actually going to be the Astros money line tonight. I think some people are going to say, the Astros don't really have much to play for. They already clinched it. The Mariners have a lot of motivation because they can still, move into the last wild card spot if they win a few games here to end the season. I'm actually a believer that the Astros would love to spoil the Mariners season and win some games here at home. So I think that's why we see the line at -135. Of course, on the other side, you do have a very good Bryce Miller, but this Astros line is dangerous. You know they can go off at any point. Hunter Brown, to be fair, after kind of a shaky start, he dialed it in since the All-Star break. He's been on fire. He's been even better at home this year, just over 3 ERA. To come back from that really tough start to the year, so that just proves how good he's been to get his ERA back down to where it even is now. It's at 3.57. So I actually think that the Astros have just as hot of a pitcher. I think it's more close than people would think, just looking at Bryce Miller, his whole season, it's Brown's whole season. So I love the Astros there. I also love 2 NFL bets. One I did cover, to be the Jaden Daniels, over 9.5 rushing attempts. I talked about that one earlier. I love that one. I think he easily gets to 10. And then also, one of my last best bet is actually going to be the same one that you talked about. It's going to be the over 46.5 in that game.
Let's go.
In my breakdown of Jaden Daniels over 9.5 rushing attempts, I also talked about how bad that Commanders secondary is. Yeah, T. Higgins coming back. I think the Bengals move the ball quickly. And on the other side, the Commanders, we saw that they can move the ball. Unfortunately, in that game against the Giants, they kicked field goals on every single possession. They had 0 touchdowns. Someone might say, well, their red zone percentage is horrible. That's true, but on the other end, I don't think that's going to keep up. I don't think they're going to stay at a 0% in the red zone. I think they're going to be able to convert a few of those against a Bengals defense that isn't that good in their own right. So I think that game hits 50 or more. I could see it. I really could. So those are my 3 best bets.
There we go. Prop guy. The hot prop guy. That would be you at the bottom of us. That would be you, Ben. Do we like over 16.5 receiving yards for James Cook?
Perfect. I already covered that one. That was my one play in the Bills game that I said was my favorite bet for that one. So
Yeah.
I love James Cook over 16.5.
And Bills first half. JD, that's your play, correct?
Yes.
Answers that right there. Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Yes.
JD's other play is he likes T. Higgins anytime touchdown. I went over how I think this is going to be an over with a ton of points. I love Joe Burrow over 1.5. I'm assuming, Ben, you like that as well?
Yeah.
T. Higgins over 3 or 4 receptions. Do you like that one as well?
Well, I would love to hear the odds on that because I actually really like that parlay.
This has to be a parlay. YM, if you are still here, bro, let us know what the odds you got on this parlay. I do like it as well. T. Higgins, I think, gets 5 or 6 receptions tonight. I mean, I just think he's going to be open with the different coverages. They're going to put on the other weapons that the Bengals have. So I definitely like that. Not to toot my own horn, I did hit a $10 plus 10,000 parlay yesterday on a 2-touchdown bet, 10 to win 1,100. I know you boys both saw it. I couldn't post it because I didn't give it out to the clients. I just bet it personally right before the game. But I will be posting my 2-touchdown prop today, so make sure you guys check that out, and let's continue to cash. YM, if you do get that before we sign off, let me know the odds. If not, we will find it. But everyone, we appreciate all the questions today. We had a ton of questions in there. We love seeing that. We have over 1,200 people still here. We appreciate every single one of you guys. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Across the Board. As you guys know, what?
One actually more thing. That is actually T. Higgins' line. You can actually get him over actually 3.5 at actually minus 114.
Great odds. Great odds.
So I'm shocked to see that. And I'm actually going to play that.
Cool. I like it as well, and I'm going to filibuster here to kill a couple seconds because it does look like our boy YM is getting the odds for us as we speak. So we're going to stay on for just another couple seconds because I really do think that is a strong play. I'm probably going to tail it myself. I have a feeling Ben like that too, so YM will give you another 10 seconds.
I like that a lot.
I do like it as well. So if you're still in here, we expect you to be tailing YM's parlay. So YM, when this comes in, you're coming on the show tomorrow. We're getting you on here. Yeah, and he is saying that T. Higgins receptions is minus 110. That's what we just went over the 3.5. And I believe that's a disrespectful line too, just because of it's his injury. I mean, I know he's come back from injury, but he puts up a ton of points. So YM, I'm running out of things to say, brother. You got about 10 seconds.
Do you think your Giants are going to win on Thursday? Just kidding. We can't get to that. You guys are going to cover that.
Hold on. Did you just say, do I think the Giants are going to beat the Cowboys? Do you know how upset I was that the Giants won yesterday? We're supposed to lose to get a quarterback. Do not get me started. We win games that we should never do.
Only 4.5.
Logan, appreciate you commenting. I know you probably just got on here. Logan's in our YouTube. This is a good chance for me to tell everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Check out our YouTube. Tap the YouTube, subscribe. We're getting a lot of people in there. Logan, I am personally on Josh Allen over 250. I did an article play earlier this week for Oddspedia. One of my props on this game is Josh Allen over passing yards, so I do like his passing yards. YM, we love you. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't see the odds, but we appreciate you. Joe, Daniel Jones did look good, and I'm very upset about it. We'll see all y'all at noon tomorrow. We appreciate every single one of you. Check the comments of the stream. When YM does put it in there, I'll comment the odds there so everyone can see it. Good luck tonight, guys. Let's keep cashing, and we'll catch you tomorrow. JD, say goodbye to the people.
Later, guys.